Hello, and welcome to Afghanistan News Today. Today is Saturday, November 30th, 2024. The most important news from Afghanistan News Today: Donald Trump appoints retired General Ket Clark as special envoy for Ukraine conflict. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has announced the appointment of retired General Ket Clark as his special assistant and special envoy for Ukraine and Russia. Clark, a veteran with extensive military and leadership experience, previously served as the Chief of Staff for the National Security Council during Trump's first term and as National Security Advisor to Mike Pence. Trump revealed the appointment on Wednesday, November 27th, via his Truth Social account, praising Clark's loyalty and commitment. "Ket has been with me from the start. Together, we will ensure peace through strength and make America and the world safe again." Clark, who has served in the Vietnam War and led operations in Iraq, is also a prominent critic of President Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal, calling it a failure that emboldened Russia and Iran. As an architect of a proposed plan to end the Ukraine war, Clark advocates for a negotiated peace process, suggesting the U.S. to prioritize Ukraine's NATO membership in exchange for dialogue. His plan also includes intensified military support for Ukraine if Russia refuses to negotiate. Trump highlighted Clark's influence during a rally in North Carolina, describing him as a true general and one of his earliest supporters in his presidential journey. Clark has a personal connection to Afghanistan, as he noted on social media in August that two of his children and a son-in-law served in the Afghan war. In response to claims by Vice President Kamala Harris's deputy, Tim Walz, regarding participation in the Afghan conflict, Clark strongly criticized Walz. "Governor Walz, my youngest son, daughter, and son-in-law served in Afghanistan. Some of our bravest men and women sacrificed their lives for our nation there. You have stolen their legacy. Shame on you." In another report, Afghan women trapped in systematic violence by the interim government. Afghanistan, a country long plagued by war and political crises, is once again at the forefront of global headlines due to the systematic violence faced by its women. Since the interim government regained power in August 2021, Afghan women have been unprecedentedly stripped of their human, social, and economic rights. On November 25, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, it is vital to address this crisis, draw global attention to the plight of Afghan women, and encourage concrete actions to support them. Systematic and structural violence by the interim government with their extremist interpretation of Islamic law. The interim government have implemented policies that severely curtail women's basic rights. This systematic and structural violence has deeply infiltrated the daily lives of millions of Afghan women. Since returning to power, the interim government have issued approximately 207 decrees, most of which directly or indirectly restrict women's rights and freedoms. These include bans on education, employment, freedom of movement, and the imposition of strict dress codes. These restrictions have not only made life exceedingly difficult for Afghan women, but have also led to a surge in domestic violence and an alarming increase in suicide rates among women and girls. Impact of interim government decrees on domestic violence. The interim government's policies, which exclude women from public life and diminish their role in family decision-making, have reinforced patriarchal norms. Women prohibited from working or studying are confined to their homes, making them entirely dependent on male family members. This economic and social dependency has fueled domestic violence, as men often misuse their authority to further restrict women's freedoms. Furthermore, women have little to no access to legal recourse or support systems. Under the interim government's judiciary, women are denied protection, leaving them vulnerable to physical, psychological, and even sexual abuse within their families. The systematic violence against Afghan women demands urgent international attention and action to alleviate their suffering and ensure their rights are restored. In a new report, interim government of Afghanistan arrests 23 people for violating religious directives. The interim government's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice has announced the arrest of 23 individuals across 6 provinces of Afghanistan last week. Among them, 15 were detained in Kabul, Nimroz, and Sari Pal, while 8 others were arrested in Balkh, Zabul, and Daikundi, accused of moral corruption and witchcraft. The interim government supreme leader has authorized the ministry's enforcers to arrest individuals for violating the controversial Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice law, enacted in September. The ministry stated that the arrested individuals have been handed over to judicial authorities following preliminary investigations. These enforcers, operating in all provinces through mobile patrols, monitor the public's behavior and conduct, claiming their actions are aimed at reforming society, according to Islamic Sharia. In September, interim government leader Hibatullah Akhundzada signed the contentious law, consisting of an introduction, 4 chapters, and 35 articles. This law defines the responsibilities of the ministry's officers and regulates their operations. Under these regulations, women's freedoms outside the home have been significantly curtailed, with restrictions banning the visibility of their faces and voices in public. The implementation of these laws has profoundly impacted daily life in Afghanistan, particularly curtailing women's rights and individual freedoms, while tightening the interim government's grip on social and moral conduct. Thanks for being with Afghanistan News Today. Till next latest news, have a good time. Goodbye.